the traffic, the potholes are the worst also. Should have named this video Chicago potholes are the worst with the traffic. And all the craters I just fell into. Yeah, all them people protesting, I guess the rain broke them up downtown, so I ended up just saying fuck that.
With Chewy, get their mealtime match at a great price. Figaro loves chicken, except when he hates chicken, but has no beef with beef when the mood is right. For fast delivery, for life with pets, there's Chewy.
This is Google Pixel 9a with Gemini. It's free at Verizon, with plans starting at $30 a line. And this is Nicole asking, where the heck are you? And Gemini helping you respond in the style of Shakespeare. So get Google Pixel 9a on us and our new 3-year price lock guarantee with plans starting at $30 a line.
All the cash in your pocket once came from this examining machine. You can find it at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. The Bureau is almost literally a well-oiled machine, except for coins. An insane attention to detail, sometimes in ways you can't see, goes into making it that way. It all starts in Washington, D.C. or Fort Worth, Texas. About $541 million a day comes off these printers in these two places. You've probably heard the term paper money, but that's inaccurate. These sheets of money aren't actually paper, which is usually made from wood pulp. Rather, they're a mix of 75% cotton and 25% linen. The Crane Paper Company supplies the specialized material that goes into these stacks of cash. In fact, this company has a monopoly on materials you're looking at because it's been in this business since the beginning of the Federal Reserve note system. It's illegal for anyone else to possess. As you might imagine, each unit has embedded security features. You won't see them in any of these bills coming off the assembly line, but there are red and blue security fibers embedded in the material and distributed randomly.
Oh, wow.
These bills also host other new features, although they're not included on any $1 notes. There are subtle background colors. Larger denomination notes will have a portrait watermark that you can see when you hold it up to a light, just like this. There's also ink that actually shifts color when bills are tilted. There's something else, too. In all but $1 bills, there's an enhanced security thread that describes the denomination when you hold it up to a light, like you're seeing now. These threads are special. They're transparent and glow when you put them under ultraviolet light. Your eyes can't see ultraviolet light unassisted, but here's what the thread looks like in case you were curious.
What's up, Canada
Different
guy?
denominations will glow in different colors. Every bill in these stacks of money is an enhanced security document, but like most complex pieces of manufacturing, they didn't get that way without careful planning. As you can see here, the designs on the currency are first drawn out by hand. Once these hand-drawn designs are finalized, steel plates will be created for the Bureau's printing presses. And that's a whole task in itself. Look and you'll see that these steel engravings are also created by hand.
Would you say, moving that slow, you'll be able to see all the potholes? Oh yeah, you could definitely see them. Look right there in the center of the street. It's brutal. See them all right there? Look at them, craters everywhere. Look how bad that is.
The use of a pen called a pantograph.
There's more
A script
coming up.
engraver carves the final design into the steel plates, which are replicated into this printing template called a master die. The process can take 8 days from beginning to end. But these plates aren't ordinary steel. To withstand the extreme pressures you'll soon be seeing, they are chrome-plated. That's why they look so shiny. Fortunately, once one of these plates is created, the individually engraved elements like the portrait in the center of the bill and the text on it are combined like a jigsaw puzzle with the use of a transfer press. This is a process called siderography. Plastic master plates get transferred from siderography and used by plate makers to create hundreds of identical plates at a time. This process works well for all the dollar bills in circulation. But there's something special about old Benjamin Franklin, and that leads to an interesting question. You might have
special
felt
about the
that distinctive
Benjamins?
blue ribbon on the last $100 bill you held. It's different from the other money in your wallet, right? That's because modern $100 bills use that 3D ribbon to provide some extra protection against counterfeiters. Every bill has other enhanced security features that begin with their precision plates. Those features are possible through a process called microprinting. Have you ever noticed the small but distinctive lines and dots on the money you hold? Take a bill and look for them. You'll find them here, here,
Oh, wow.
and also here. But you just won't find the microscopic text cleverly placed
I never
within
knew
them
that
on
was
certain
microscopic
parts of the bill.
numbers.
For example, here's a $100 bill. Notice Ben Franklin's collar? The phrase, the United States of America, is found there.
What? That's
The
tiny
phrase
as hell.
USA is at the bottom of the portrait in similarly sized letters.
Oh, wow, so tiny.
Microprinting is very hard to duplicate. So if people who know what they're looking for find illegible letters, they found a counterfeit. There's also something called offset printing. This is a process that occurs in denominations of $2 and up. And it's sort of like a painting process.
$2 and up.
These rollers are coated with special magnetic
There's a
ink.
big potholes.
They
Look at that.
simultaneously print
Ugh.
a multicolored collage on both
Potholes
sides
are
of the
nasty.
bill at once. $1 bills skip this process, which is why they feel a little different than the others you're carrying around once you start paying attention.
Were you or a loved one admitted to an Illinois behavioral health facility? A global settlement may be coming in 2025. These facilities allegedly failed to protect vulnerable patients from abuse for decades.
Feel a little different than the others you're carrying around once you start paying attention. This ink has a journey of its own. It starts here on the engraving plates and then goes to soft rubber blankets. From there, it's put onto the money. These machines are a lot bigger than they appear on your screen. They're 50 feet long and weigh a whopping 70 tons. But size and weight don't mean they aren't fast. Look at these stacks of money and you can guess at how quickly they can churn out money. 10,000 sheets per hour can come off these presses. But the people behind these machines don't leave anything to chance. Here they're inspecting bills. After every 500 prints, they'll pull a sheet out and look at them up close to see if everything is being done correctly. There's another type of printing that leaves its mark on your money. It's called intaglio printing. Because $1 bills don't go through offset printing, they go through intaglio printing right away. For every other bill, intaglio printing is the second step after offset printing. Intaglio printing is the phase when all the obvious features on a bill, the portrait, numerals, words, and so on, get put on a blank note. This process begins with those steel and chrome plates you saw earlier. Special ink is added, which fits into the engravings. Runoff ink is wiped away. From there, enormous pressure gets applied to put the ink onto the bill. The ink is dried with a slightly raised texture, which is another anti-counterfeiting measure since it's really hard to copy. And just in case you were wondering, the intaglio process has its own special printers, just like the offset printers. Here they are in action, and they're just about as fast, churning out 10,000 sheets an hour like this. But here's what makes them unique. The intaglio printers apply enormous pressure to the notes, which is why the plates need to be made so durable. But they can't apply more than one color at a time to their sheets, unlike offset printers, and this particular ink will take 3 days to dry. When you feel the unique texture of a bill, that's the result of intaglio printing. Everything on a dollar bill has been standardized to literally microscopic detail, except one thing. Did you ever wonder how each bill gets its serial number? These machines are really good at printing out stacks of bills, but each one has a different serial number, which can be a problem. After all, it's not like other mass-printed materials get different numbers. Fortunately, there's a machine for that, too. This letterpress machine puts the finishing touches on an individual bill, and you can see all the details here. They include serial numbers, which are in green or black ink, depending on the denomination, but also the identification numbers and the seals of the Treasury Department and Federal Reserve. Take a look at the number to the bottom right, too. If you're holding a $10 bill or higher, that number will have a distinctive texture when you feel it. It's made of color-shifting ink. As you can see here, the number shifts from a copper color to green depending on the angle you view it under, which is also really hard to counterfeit. Okay, so now that the bill's been through this journey, it's ready for circulation, right? Not quite yet. It first has to go through this machine called the Offline Currency Inspection System. It's a combination of cameras and specialized software. 2.5 sheets per second pass under the gauntlet of these cameras. They look at both sides of a bill at once for an efficient layout. The cameras can pick up errors with incredible precision. If something gets flagged, employees will closely look over the notes. The funding notes will then be discarded, but not the entire sheet. They'll save any good notes. That means each individual note you're holding went through a unique sterilization and inspection process, even in mass production. Who knows? That serial number might be worth something much more valuable than the number on the bill someday. With final inspections done, the bills are ready to take their final journey. That final journey begins at the Bureau's facilities in Washington and Fort Worth. The bills go through these guillotines, which make both vertical and horizontal cuts to ensure the bills are in their standard dimensions, 6.14 inches long and 2.61 inches wide. From there, the machinery stacks them into bricks of 100 individual notes like this, wrapping them in these bands that show their denomination. The bricks are then put into these bundles, and bundles are in turn packaged into a set of 4,000 bills. There are 4 of such packages put into metallic boxes like these called a skid. The Federal Reserve is the authority that legally issues this money. So until it does, these skids will be loaded onto armored trucks and taken to Federal Reserve banks on a precise route. Sometimes they can be in vaults for years. Once they're ready to be used, the Fed will distribute the notes to the public through typical commercial financial institutions.
We live in a world obsessed with
Yeah, I don't know ad for being like that. Me, I'm getting an ad.
Credit unions, who in turn give them to you. If these notes are found not to be genuine, usually by a bank teller or a cashier, they'll be sent to the U.S. Secret Service, which is responsible for protecting the integrity of the nation's money just as much as it is the life of the president. It sounds like a long journey, but it's an efficient system, costing between 2.8 to 8.6 cents per bill, depending on the denomination.
Saved himself,
But
President
when it
Trump.
comes to coins, efficiency is not the word to use. These freshly minted, mass-produced coins might look like they're coming off a well-oiled machine, but there's more beneath the surface. First, let's talk about the basics. Start with asking yourself, why do pennies feel different from quarters? It's partly because they're made of different materials, which is also why you can see they have different colors. Every one of these pennies is made of zinc, but is plated with copper, which gives them their distinct rusty color. Quarters and dimes are made with cupro-nickel, which leaves this more silvery finish. Once the raw materials are gathered, these 1,500-foot-long coils slice them into metal discs called blanks that look like this, and rejected blanks are recycled. From there, the coins go through annealing machines, which heat them to a staggering 950 degrees Celsius. After this, the coins are cleaned with anti-drying agents and put through drying steams like this. This softens them before striking, which involves this upsetting machine creating the raised edge.
Oh, wow.
Once they get their distinctive designs, the coins go through the die creation and striking process.
So every single
Well,
corner
what does
is
that
cut
mean?
with that little
They've
machine?
already gone through high heat. Now they're about to go through extreme pressure thanks
thought
to
they were
this
just
striking
molded.
machine, which can press between 60 and 160 tons of force. These conditions create the sharp details on coins that you're used to seeing. Some
thought the whole
designs
thing was
require
pressed.
multiple strikes. Once striking is complete, coins are inspected for errors, and if they're all clear, weighing machines will weigh and count them. Then they're bagged and shipped to the various Federal Reserve banks just like bills. But the ancient art of coin making has become controversial in recent years as money becomes increasingly electronic. It costs
Don't support
16.5
electronic
cents
money,
to make an
people.
individual
Keep cash
$100 bill,
alive.
but 3.69 cents to make a penny. And this inefficiency is just one problem.
Metro,
A
the only way to
2017
really
FOIA
fly right off
request
the
revealed
tracks.
that the U.S. Mint, which produces the coins, suffered accounting errors, such as scale misconfigurations and misplaced decimal points. The Mint has
Yeah, accounting errors, I'm sure. Somebody probably walked out of there with the bag.
Share of environmental and safety issues
Money.
too. Contamination from the firefighting foam used there has impacted local water supplies, leading to several lawsuits. The U.S. Mint's Philadelphia facility failed an OSHA inspection in 2001, where it was cited for 47 safety hazards.
Damn.
There's also been some counterfeiting challenges in recent years.
Robert Kennedy
Members
needs
of
to check
Congress
that
have
out.
criticized the U.S. Mint for failing to respond properly as the volume of Chinese counterfeit coins has increased. While the days of coins might not be limited yet, these criticisms mean that there may come a time when they will be. So look at them for now, and the bills alongside them for that matter. These aren't just units of money. They're works of art, driven in part by the elaborate ways counterfeiters try to knock them off. Bye for now.
Let's see what else they got. Trump spoke 4 hours ago. Let's see what he's got to say.
Even the best relationships have rough patches.
We keep having the same argument.
I know, but I don't know what else to say.
Why does that guy look like a fag?
Well, good morning. This is a beautiful day. We could not have asked for a more beautiful
4
day than
hours
this.
ago, Trump speaking.
And maybe that means something that brings us a little luck. But it's a great honor, and I'm delighted to welcome you
Yeah,
to
the
this very
Democrats got
special
rained
place,
on
the
in
White House,
Chicago.
to
They got
celebrate the
rained
annual
on. They
National
had
Day
that
of
rain
Prayer.
cloud following their
And we're
misery.
doing it up big. This is the first time they've done it this way, and you deserve it. We all deserve the White House. The White House is special. We're bringing back religion in our country, and we're bringing it back quickly and strongly.
Yeah, the religion I'm really not so much. Yeah.
Because for America to be
Your
a great
choice.
nation, we must always be one nation under God, a phrase that they would like to get rid of, the radical left.
Yeah, they
But Ben,
do.
I don't think we're going to let them get rid of that, right?
I think
We're
we should
not
keep
letting
that
them
in
get
there.
rid of that. I want to thank a man of incredible faith who's with us, Speaker Mike Johnson, for being here. He's done an incredible job. Thank you, Mike, very much. We're working very hard on a great, big, beautiful bill, and we're trying to come up with a name. And I said, why don't we just call it the Great, Big, Beautiful Bill? That's what everyone, so we're going to probably do that because everyone knows what it means. But later today, I'll be going to the University of Alabama to deliver the keynote commencement address to a record crowd. They have a big crowd. I guess they have 7 ceremonies. And they said, well, if you're doing it, we're putting them all together. I said, that's a lot of people. So we're going to put them all together. It's the first time they've done that. And I'll give it a shot. All right? I hope we can entertain. I will give it a shot. But before we begin, I want to let you know what I was just doing in a really great meeting with Speaker Johnson. We had also Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Chairman Brett Guthrie, who's a fantastic guy, and Chairman Smith. Everybody knows Chairman Smith. He's the most knowledgeable person on taxes
I
and
can't see
finances
it.
there
Traffic's
is.
horrible.
To be updated on
that way,
the
though.
progress of the one big, beautiful bill. We love that bill. I won't like it if it doesn't pass, neither will you. Doesn't pass, your taxes are going to go up 68%. So think of it.
Ooh.
68, and this is a religious ceremony to
No,
me,
we
but
need that bill
that's
to
part of
pass.
the religion. Because if your taxes go up 68%, you might give up your religion. You might have no choice. You'll be working
give up
too
a
hard
lot
to
of
try and make it. And that's the Democrats. That's what they'll give you.
You're
They'll
going to have to
vote
give up a
against it.
lot
It's
with
not
that
even
much of a
believable.
raise of taxes.
It's called Trump derangement syndrome because honestly,
Yeah, it's a very sick syndrome.
everything in there is
A
good
lot
for
of people
Democrats,
got it.
Republicans, and everybody else. These will be the biggest tax cuts in
So very
American
bad.
history with 100.
Let me interrupt him. That Trump derangement syndrome, it's very, very, it's somewhat contagious, but it's a very bad disease to have, Trump derangement syndrome.
Percent expensing, which is something that people cannot believe they're getting. We did it in the last one, and we had the most successful economy in my first 4 years that we've ever had, the history of our country. And expensing was one of the things that led to that. But it's 100% expensing for companies investing in America and increasing take-home pay for the typical family by thousands of dollars a year. And to show you how middle income this is, there'll be no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax for the great seniors in Social Security. So you have no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we have full deduction for interest. If you buy a car that's made in America, you get an interest rate deduction. That's going to be it's got to be made in America.
Oh, yeah.
If it's not made in America, we really don't care if you buy it or not. But if it's made in America, we want you to buy it. We make the best cars anyway. Things are moving along very well, and I just wanted to say the final details are coming together, and they're coming together rapidly, and I think we're right on schedule, Mike and everyone. And I want to thank you and this group and all of the people that are over there right now, not in the sun. They're working on the bill. It will be the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our Congress, our Senate, and Congress. That's a big achievement. One of the things that's very important will be saving Medicaid for Americans in need. We will not let the Democrats destroy it and all the waste, fraud, and abuse that they seem to love. And they will decimate Medicaid if they get the chance. We're not going to give them that chance. So just remember, we will be saving Medicaid and strengthening it. It'll be actually very strengthened. And they are going to decimate it. We can't let it happen. And very simply, to finish that, we will make America rich and healthy again. And why don't we say rich, healthy, and religious again? Okay, shall I add that for this group? Right, Dan Patrick? Thanks as well to the great people that are here. Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job. Pete, thank you. Marco Rubio, unbelievable. Unbelievable, Marco. When I have a problem, I call up Marco. He gets it solved. Scott Bessent's got a very easy job now. He's negotiating with about 200 countries. Can you handle it? Do you get to sleep at all? He's got phone calls coming in. I was with him before. I had like 30 phone calls. I said, just see me later. They're all calling. Scott Turner, who's doing wonderful work. Recommendation of Ben. Ben, recommends you. I have no choice, right? But you're doing great. You're doing great. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she's slightly busy. She's on the busy side with all of the... you have a big assortment of everything when you think of it. She's got every form of crime known to mankind and womankind, too. You always have to say that as a politician. But she's doing incredible work. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, thank you. Good job. A man that I can't talk about because he goes undercover most of the time. His whole life is now undercover, but he's central casting.
These streets could be Medal of these streets could be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. That's how bad these streets are. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. He's a handsome guy. He is. If I was casting a movie for the CIA, I'd put this guy in it. Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe. Where's John? John? See? He's undercover. What's up, Chop?
He's here, but he's undercover.
I'm there.
He's perfect. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, another busy one, huh? Jameson, good.
Oh my God, these fucking streets.
And another one who's negotiating along with Scott and Jameson. He's negotiating all the time. He doesn't want to talk about it. He has no life. Howard Lutnick, Commerce. He has no life. And a very special person, friend of mine for a long time, and she's doing an unbelievable job at small business, which is really big business. You know, when you add up all that small business, it's probably the biggest bank in the world. But she is really capable and doing a fantastic job of working with Linda McMahon also on the student loans, getting them paid up. Administrator Kelly Loeffler. Kelly, thank you very much. And we're also joined by some special senators. Roger Marshall. Roger, you are a great guy. Whenever I have a problem, he's calling, sir, don't worry about it. I said, thanks, Roger. It's easy for you to say, Roger. But he always is so good. He's a good man. James Lankford. James, I saw you on television. You were fantastic. on television. James was defending me on television, something that's not easy to do, but he did a good job. Thank you, James.
God, that was brutal.
And Mark Wayne Mullen. Mark Wayne,
I should have been
where are
zoomed out a
you?
little more.
Don't ever fight Mark Wayne. Yep, thank you,
Look at
Mark
them
Wayne.
craters.
Don't ever fight him. He was a fighter. And Cindy Hyde Smith is here. Cindy, hi, Cindy.
Oh my
Wow.
God, that was giant.
And we have thanks, Cindy. You're doing great. I look at your numbers. You're very popular. You don't need me to go out and campaign with you this year, huh? Isn't that good? Representatives Mark Harris, Mary Miller, Gary Palmer,
Oh my God,
Marjorie
they're all
Taylor
avoiding
Greene,
this shit. It's fucking
Robert Adderholt,
side to
Jason
side.
Smith, Chris Smith, Tim
I'm
Wahlberg,
not in a big truck
and Josh
like you.
Renkeen.
You're in a
Thank
big
you all for being
Escalade. I'm
here.
not.
And we have some others,
Got
but I
25
can't see them.
inches on that shit.
I just cannot see them, so I'm going to get myself in trouble. They'll never vote for me again, Ben. That's the problem. You know, if you don't mention, hi, Mary, but Mary will. Thank you also to Senior Advisor Pastor Paula Wright.
Man, if Trump was driving the beast down this, he would have to, what do you call it? If he was driving the beast through this, he would need new springs and shocks by the time he got to where he just made that right turn.
Who's been so incredible. She's been right from the beginning, Paula, right? And we had like a 94%
It's like we're in a rock quarry
poll
now.
number, and I think Paula got it more than I got it. She's saying, no, I'm telling you, he's a good person. Well, we don't like him. I'm telling you, he's done more for us than anybody. Oh, okay. And she got us up to about 94%. And my old friends, they couldn't believe that I got that kind of a number with, you understand? But you have done a great job, and Jenny Korn has done an unbelievable job. Jenny? And you know, they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, you know, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really? Separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not, you guys are in the White House where you should be, and you're representing our country, and we're bringing religion back to our country, and it's a big deal. And I want to say hello, John, the most talented man standing here today. He's one of the most successful artists, and
I know, I work hard.
his song is one of the most favored by people of religion. That I can tell you, John.
Thank
You've
you.
done a great
Thank you for
job.
the compliment.
I always
Rob.
say he's the husband of Paula White, but actually he's very successful. That's always tough to live with, right, John? But not really, because you have an incredible wife that you're proud of,
Johnny,
right?
you're pronouncing it
Well,
wrong.
that's good. Oh, he just gave her a kiss. That was the first time they've kissed in years. No, I'm only kidding.
Or is he?
Great job, actually.
Don't that
The person that's been with me maybe the longest, and she's been just an incredible person. Never asks for anything, never wants favors, or, gee, could I use your helicopter to get here or there?
Hey,
His
Trump,
name
can I
is
use your
Alveda
helicopter?
King, and she's here someplace.
Hell
Is that?
no.
Hi, Alveda. She was here.
Who would even ask? Hey, why is
She
the
was
wall
here
broken
before it was
back there?
popular.
Yeah,
Before
well,
I had record numbers with the black vote. She was
Oh,
here
that's
long
good
before I
old
had
Howard.
record numbers, right? Alveda saw something, and yeah, she was here at the very, very beginning when we were polling on the low side with the black population. Now we're setting records with the black population. We got criminal justice reform done. We got the black colleges and universities, you know. I got that financed for. It was a very interesting story because for 2-3 years, I'd see these really great people, like 50 of them, or maybe a little more. They come up to Washington looking for money for historically black colleges and universities, and they'd come up, and the first time was okay. I helped them get it. I got it for them, and that was it. Then the next year they came up, and I said, why are you up here? We took care of you. They said, no, they make us come up every year. I said, you got to be kidding. So we took care of them, Speaker. We got them long-term 10-year financing, more money than they were asking for. And I would say, I think I'm the most popular with those 50 people. They like me. They couldn't believe it because they were forced to come out. This for 40 years. Every year they'd come up. You know that, Ben. They'd come up and some of them became friends of mine because they
County
come up
Jail.
looking for money all the time. And I said, we got to get you like some long-term money. And I said to him, the only bad thing is I'll probably
That's
never
our
see you
entrance for
again.
visiting.
And largely, but I see a couple of them here, largely that happened. But
all
I
looks
took
new
care
up
of them,
here
but
on
they
the-
never had to come
up
up.
here.
So it was a big thing.
That's
Talked
all
about
new.
last night, actually, on television.
I don't know how long ago they built
Today,
that,
as the
but I
American
wasn't there a
people
few
turn
years
to God
ago.
in prayer, we continue a tradition older than our independence itself. Nearly 250 years ago, on June 12th, 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a day of
Yeah, they don't even got windows in that section. Well, I guess they got some windows like right there and like right there. They got a yard up there? Looks like there's a hallway up there. I mean, but it looks like for the most part, this whole section don't got no fucking windows. I mean, other than maybe that's, I'm assuming those are probably the day rooms. Sounds like there's a shitload of people outside somewhere over here. Probably, there must be their yard on the other side of this building. I hear voices.
fasting and prayer so that Americans fighting for their liberty could seek the help of the Almighty. And when you look at that, June 12th, 1775, so we have a very, very special day coming up. You know, we have a lot of them.
June 12th, 1775. Looks like they got a yard in. Oh, it's gotta be in the back of the yard. That's one of those new control towers up there on the left. This must be all the new section. I don't even remember seeing this part ever. Oh, it just drops some people off. They go to pick some people up. Damn, he's flying in that bus. I hate to think that there's people in there. I remember the old part is that what's his face? That Al Capone was in. This looks like some factory. Obviously, he's connected to the jail, clearly. Alright, let's listen to what Trump's speaking about.
During this term. And interestingly, I had none of them had I not had a rigged election. Had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone. The radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally.
Yeah,
But no, now they have me for another 4 years. We'll talk about that. And
hopefully another 4 years.
and
on
in the
top of
other
those
4 years, you know, I sort of said, I got the Olympics to come in,
2028.
and I got the World Cup to come in. And I said, you know, the sad part is it's going to be in the, would be the third term. None of it came in during the, what would be the normal, you know, the more normal way of doing it, like counting the proper votes, et cetera, and just going on. I wouldn't have been president. But now,
He might have a
we end
chance
up
to run
with
for a third
4
term.
years later, and we have the 250-year anniversary, and that will be June 12th, 250 years, and you have Flag Day, so there's something happening on Flag Day. It's my birthday, but so you have 250 years in this term.
Birthday.
You have the Olympics in this term. We have the Olympics going to Los Angeles, and we have the World Cup. And I was very instrumental in all three of them. They said, would you do it? Because another president refused to call. They needed for the Olympics and the World Cup, they needed the support of the president. And that particular president refused to talk to them. He didn't want to talk to
Joe
them. I don't
Biden?
know why exactly, but he didn't want to talk. So they said, could you
Joe Biden didn't
talk?
want to talk to anybody.
And so I talked, and I talked them into it. And we got those two, and we have 250 years. So this is going to be really 4 years of celebration. So get ready. And we're going to always bring God with us. We're going to bring God to those celebrations. We're not going to forget about God. In a letter to wife Abigail, John Adams wrote of his first National Day of Prayer, millions will be upon their knees at once before their great Creator, imploring his forgiveness and blessing and asking for his favor on the American cause. Beautiful. Today, more than 2.5 centuries later, in the heart of a free and proud America, we rejoice that God answered those prayers. And I think God answered other prayers because he's put in an administration to run this country that's going to make you proud again. It's going to make you believe and believe more again. And we're going to have a country that's very strong. We're already in just 100 days. We're respected all over the world. Every leader's calling, want to have a meeting, appointments. They weren't calling so much last few years. They had no respect for our country. Our country was doing very, very poorly, as you know. Millions and millions of people pouring into our borders from jails and mental institutions and gang members. It was a terrible situation. And yesterday, I don't know if Kristi Noem is here or Tom Homan, but yesterday we had the lowest, safest border in history, 99.999. In other words, 3 people got in, 3. And in the previous, it was hundreds of thousands of people were coming in. We had 3 people. And we have it locked down, but we are allowing people in, but they have to come in legally. So it's a big thing. So I think it's a very big thing. It's just so appropriate that here we are. So many things are happening, so many great things, and we won't let countries rip us off anymore. You know, a lot of people like to talk about tariffs. Well, tariffs is exactly what they were doing for us. You know, when you want to defend that, they're a beautiful thing for us if you can use them, if you can get away with using them. It's going to make us very rich, and we'll be paying off debt. We'll be lowering your taxes very substantially because so much money will be taken in that we'll be able to lower your taxes even beyond the tax cut that you're going to be getting, hopefully, with the big, beautiful bill. And so it's one of those things which I think it's just a really amazing time. The spirit that we have in this country right now is greater than I've ever seen it before. And it started on November 5th when we won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won every district. Think of this: the districts. It was 2,750 versus 505, and we got 312 electoral votes. Everyone said maybe he can get 270. We got 312. It was a great election, and it has just revitalized the country. And I think I can say one other thing that's to me really incredible, that it can go so quickly. If you remember 6 months ago, prior to the election, we were unable to get people to join our military. We had a waiting list that was a mile long of empty spaces, and we couldn't get anybody to join. We didn't know actually what to do. Now, I wasn't in the administration, but they didn't know what to do. And it was embarrassing to them, frankly, and it should be. And that included police and firemen. You couldn't get people to join anything having to do with any of the military groups, any of the law enforcement groups, first responder groups. You couldn't get anybody to join. And as of yesterday, we had the largest number of recruits in the history of our country. Think of that. And the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all of it, Coast Guard, all of them, they're full. And we have a waiting list, and we're actually picking the ones we want. And we're trying to take care of everybody, but you're picking the ones you want, and it's been amazing. And to think just 6 months ago, you were hearing that people weren't signing up, and that includes now our police force. Our police forces were really starving.
I tripping? I keep hearing the raindrops hitting the window. I thought I did. Man, this traffic is a bitch. All these stupid motherfucking bike lanes making traffic worse. Making people take other streets, all because of these stupid fucking bike lanes. Like, they could have made the sidewalk smaller, put both bike lanes on the same side of the street, instead of making a 2 feet gap on each side of the road. They could have took that fucking 4 feet, combined it into 1 foot. Right there is 3 feet back to the road. Made the sidewalk a little smaller. And there ain't that many people where you gotta have them walking curb to curb on these damn streets.
People. And this includes our police forces. They're all full up, and they're in great shape. It's amazing the turn, and mostly that spirit. You know, they have spirit. It's nothing else. It's they have spirit. They love our country again, and we're making our country great. We're making our country.
They need to love our country enough to let fucking people go in the middle of the night between the hours of midnight to 4 a.m. go in an intersection and drift in circles and just leave us alone and let the people do it. Let the show go. If anything, what they should be doing is making a little checkpoint at all 4 ways in and charging people to go in there. And then the cops could be fucking making money or some shit. Just charge them for going in there and be like, yo man, y'all can drift in there. Just don't go shooting each other. No shooting, no spray painting. Just go there, drift. You gotta sign this waiver though in case you get hurt. So your own dumb fault. And go in. Simple. Like right here. Giant fucking lot you could do that in. Giant fucking lots. There's so many giant lots around Chicago where they can make a legal drift pit.
Greater than ever before. I
And they won't
created a
bother regular
historic White House
pedestrians because the parking
faith
lots are
office
so
in the
big
West
you won't
Wing,
hear it.
and that's going to be an office that's been very well. I see already you have a lot of people going back and forth, and that's good. That's what we want to defend and represent people of all faiths. And
Now this intersection's good. This is a nice big one. This is where I got that video of the guy rolling back into that Corvette. He rolled back into that blue and white.
religious freedoms at home and abroad.
Or no, it was this
But they're
intersection.
coming, it's probably doubled the action in the White House. It's been amazing to watch and beautiful to watch. The White House can handle it. This important office will work to protect vulnerable women and children, strengthen the American family, promote the dignity of work and choice in education. And people that are in trouble can come in and they take care of them. Sometimes they'll send them to a doctor. Sometimes Paula does this, and Jenny, others that are in the office. And they're doing an amazing job. And I wanted them to have that office. Never happened before. I don't think that's ever happened before, right? The people of faith have never been allowed in the White House. We'll probably be sued tomorrow because they're going to say church, separation of church and state. Can't do that, right? But we'll win. Pam will win that suit. She wins them. She ultimately wins them. She gets them. Sometimes they get a judge that's not so good, but she ultimately wins. That's what it's all about, right, Pam? I pardoned Americans of faith thrown in jail for praying in peaceful protest. We reinstated service members thrown out of the military over religious objections to Biden's vaccine mandate. We did a vaccine, but we didn't do a mandate. He did a mandate, threw them out if they didn't take it. Can't do that. I signed an executive order to combat anti-Semitism and set up a DOJ task force to eradicate the anti-Christian bias. We've taken away a lot of, you know what? Just sit down, please. I didn't even know you were standing. What an honor that you stood so long. Wow, that's a great honor. Thank you.
I wish Trump saw me
Because I know
standing
if
on
Biden were
the
up here,
chair
you
at
would
the
have been
fucking
seated.
rally in Wisconsin at Racine.
You might have never stood up.
I had my shirt off. I was waving the Trump
No, that's a
flag.
great honor. I didn't realize it. I signed an executive order to combat
That's all, yeah,
anti-Semitism. It's a big
but,
thing.
no.
A big thing. And I set up a DOJ task force, which is really a big thing, and Dan, you're going to be involved in it, to eradicate anti-Christian
What the fuck?
bias. You haven't heard
You're
that,
honking
but
your horn at us
there's
today.
anti-Christian bias also. And in just a few moments, I'll also be signing an executive order creating a presidential commission on religious liberty, which is really why we're here, more than any other reason. Many of the new commissioners are here with us, including people that have been with me from the beginning. The chairman is Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, whose idea this was. And stand up, Dan. What a great guy. What a great political person. He's an amazing politician, Lieutenant Governor, and he's a man of great religion. Thank you very much, Dan. As well as Dr. Ben Carson. Ben. I don't know.
Well, that's my speaker is cracking, not the fucking, I thought that was raindrops, that cracking noise.
Very much. He's been with me from the beginning. You know, he was campaigning against me originally. Can I tell that story, Ben? You mind? Are you sure you don't mind? Because he was campaigning. He was very effective, and he was going up in the polls. And he looked at me about 3 or 4 debates in, and he said, "You know, you're going to win by a lot, don't you?" This was during 2016. And I said, "What do you mean, Ben? What do you mean? You're campaigning. Don't say that, Ben. You're campaigning. You have a shot." He was a little bit behind, but it's pretty far enough. But he said, "You know you're going to win. These people can't beat you. Nobody's going to be able to beat you." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because God is with you." I said, "That's nice." And he said it once again in the church. Remember that, Ben? He pulled me over. He said, "Remember what I told you. God is with you." And we went on to win 3 times. We won. We won the first time. We did great the second time. We won the second time. Everybody knows it. But we made it too big to rig the third time. Too big to. They tried. They tried. So I want to thank Ben, who has been with me right from the beginning. You're an amazing person, and you gave us a great recommendation. And this young gentleman who's doing a fantastic job at HUD. Thank you very much. Really good. Also, we have Dr. Phil McGraw. Where's Dr. Phil? Oh, you are so big. Come here, Phil. Come here.
Oh, that's Dr. Phil.
This guy.
I used to say,
He
"Fuck
came up, he
Dr.
wanted
Phil,"
to do
but
an
now
interview.
I like
And I
Dr.
knew him
Phil.
as everybody sort of knows it, right? But he said, "You know, they don't really understand the real Trump. I want to do it." And he did the nicest interview, talked about things that nobody ever asked me. And a lot of people watched it. I was a little surprised. He's got his own network, and he's become seriously rich.
I got a lot of
He
questions.
said,
I
"I'll
bet
put
he's
it
never
on
been
Merit." I
asked.
said, "What the hell is Merit?" He said, "That's my network." I said, "Well, I did it as a favor for him, but it turned out to be a favor for me because so many people, millions and millions of people watched it." Would you like to say a few words, or are you shy?
I know Trump
let's
wasn't
let's
nice
go.
shit.
Mr. President, I can't tell you first off how proud I am to
Dr.
see
Phil.
religion coming back to the White House. God bless you. God bless you for doing this. And let me tell you, it's not a popular thing to do in America right now. And Speaker Johnson is here, and you know he's a man of religion. But you know, I've sat with President Trump with no cameras around, nobody listening, nobody watching. And I'm telling you, this is a man of deep faith, a man of deep conviction. And this is a man that wants this country to have a heart and have religion. And God bless America for giving us President Donald Trump. And when nobody's listening and nobody's looking, this man cares about every single person in America, independent of race, color, creed, whatever. And it comes from the heart with him. And I am proud to call him my president. And God bless you, Mr. President. God bless you. God bless you. And don't be so surprised when millions of people watch my interviews.
No, I know. I'm very impressed.
When it's tens of millions. With me, it's millions. You're 10x whenever I talk to you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Be careful.
And thank you for letting me be on this commission.
Yeah, my YouTube, let me ask him a couple questions. I'm sure he'll get me
I asked him, "Please be careful, Phil. We don't want you falling. Because when you fall, it doesn't work. That's been proven. That's been proven. But he doesn't fall. He doesn't know how to fall." I also want to look at Bishop Robert Barron, who's been so great. Bishop, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. Pastor Paula White, if you would stand up, Paula, please. Thank you very much. Rabbi Mayor Solovey-Check. Rabbi, how are you, Rabbi? Thank you very much, Rabbi. Good job. Kelly Shackelford. Good. Nice to see you, Kelly. Ryan Anderson. Thank you, Ryan. These are great people. Carrie Bowler. Hi. Hi, Carrie. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Star. This is a star. Thanks, Pam. That's great. Secretary Scott Turner. Scott, thank you. as well as a man, he has really an excuse. It's Cardinal Dolan, and Cardinal Dolan is in Rome. I just left Rome. It's a beautiful service. But he's in Rome having to vote for the next pope. I got extremely upset. I said, you can't do that. This is much more important. He was actually torn, if you want to know the truth, which is pretty good. But he's on the council too, and he's a great guy, and I've known him for a long time. I'd like to ask, if I might, to have Dan Patrick, one of the most highly respected men in politics. We worked on something having to do with your governor. We worked on something having to do with school choice, and we knocked it over the fences first to really, and that's the ultimate school choice in Texas. And he's been fighting for it for years, and we got it over the line pretty easily, as it turned out. So please come up and speak. Thank you.
President, for making this happen. Thank you. Mr. President, thank you for establishing what I think will be one of the most important presidential commissions in history. It will be one of your great legacies, of which you will have many. We have in this country, we have a magnificent inheritance of religious liberty. And every believer today, no matter your faith, has a claim to that inheritance. We were a nation birthed by prayer, founded on the Judeo-Christian ethic, to ensure that people could worship as they wished without interference from government, but that is no longer the case. The last administration attacked people of faith for 4 years.
There goes.
There's a saying that no one should get between a doctor and a patient. I think we would say no one should get between God and a believer. No one should get between God and those seeking Him. There are so many people in this country, they may even have a family, they may have a job with a lot of employees, but they're alone, and the only person they can turn to is someone who's not listening, but they can turn to God because He is their refuge and He is their wellspring of hope. And no one, no government, no school district, in any level of government or in the private sector, should say to someone, you can't pray here or where.
I agree with that.
That is our right. And Mr. President, you have given us an incredible committee. I'm a little overwhelmed. I feel like a pair of brown shoes, a room full of tuxedos, if you want to know. These are high caliber, the foremost faith leaders, scholars, thinkers that you put together. So on this day, Mr. President, on this day, you are restoring the hopes and the prayers of millions upon millions of believers of all faiths. There's never been a president who has invoked the name of Jesus more than you. There's never been a president who says, yes, I love Jesus, but I love people of all faiths, as Dr. Phil says. You have a heart for every American, and you're showing that today. I'm proud to represent you as chair, proud to have Ben Carson as our vice chair and every member of this committee. We will serve you, we will serve the people, and most importantly, we will serve God. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Dan. Beautiful. You're going to do an incredible job. He came to me with this idea called Paula, called Jenny, called all of us, and it just came together. And we'll be adding some incredible names. Some of the people that are here right now that have been with me from the beginning. Some sitting right over there. My friends, my pastors, and ministers, and rabbis. We'll be adding quite a few. It's very important, and they'll be largely, when they can, we're going to be using the White House. We have plenty of room, so we'll be using the White House to have some of your meetings. And it's a real honor to have you, Dan. You've been so respected for so long. As we defend religious freedom in America, we're also standing up against religious persecution around the world. With us today are the parents of Eden Alexander, the last living American held hostage by Hamas.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you. And we don't know how he's doing, really, do we? We don't know. We think we know, and hopefully positive.
Hopefully he's still alive.
2 months ago, we were pretty sure. It looked like he was getting out, but they've toughened up a little bit, and it's a terrible thing. I know what you're going through. A New Jersey boy, Eden, moved to Israel in 2022 and was taken hostage on the vicious October 7th attack on Jewish people. And I will tell you that's an attack that would have never happened because the money was given by Iran to Hamas. Iran had no money when I was president. They were out of money. They were bust. They had no money. They weren't giving it to Hamas. They weren't giving it to Hezbollah. They weren't giving it to anybody because they didn't have any money. They were just about bust. And in fact, I put sanctions on last night any oil that anybody takes from Iran is not allowed to do business in the United States of America.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Let's do it.
Which is what I did the last time. That drove them into a very bad state, and they were ready to make a deal, except for the election.
Damn, they sound nice.
Didn't turn out the way it should have. It was a rigged
Wait till I
election.
get my
I must
ticket from
say
Arrowhead.
that it was totally rigged. It was disgraceful. I think it's going to go down as one of the biggest issues. We wouldn't have, think of it, your son would be home. You wouldn't have had October 7th. You wouldn't have had the Ukraine-Russian to start
I
with
can't wait to do that with my
5,000
Chevy under here.
Russians, mostly Russians and Ukrainian soldiers are being killed every single week. 5,000 a week. So think of those
Man, I wish
parents.
I was in my Camaro
From Russia,
right
they're
now.
from Ukraine for the most part, and other
Fuck,
people, but for the
almost
most
done.
part. And that would have never happened. It was never going to happen. No chance of it happening. Putin and I talked all
I'd
the
race
time.
them.
He knew it wasn't going to happen. I told him it wasn't going to happen. And through gross incompetence, it did take place, and it's a horrible thing. And you wouldn't have had inflation. Think of it. You wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had the horror show at Afghanistan, which I think is what gave Putin the resolve to go in and do what he did, because he looked at how badly we got out. We lost 13 soldiers. 42 were horribly injured. Nobody ever talks about them. The legs, the arms, the face, horribly injured. That would have never happened. Not even possible to have happened. And we would have been out before he was out. I was the one that got it down to the 5,000, but we were going to keep Bagram, the big Air Force base, which is 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear. That's what they do. They make their nuclear missiles, and 1 hour away from Bagram. And I said, you can't give up Bagram. They gave up Bagram, and right now China occupies Bagram. So sad, so crazy. One of the biggest air bases in the world, among the strongest and longest runways anywhere in the world. 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear missiles. It would have been great to have. Well, we were keeping it, but they ran out of there like nobody can believe. And I think Putin saw that, and he said, wow, this is a great time. I can go get, because it was the apple of his eye. I could always see that. I talked to him for hours. It was the apple of his eye, but I said, Vladimir, don't even think about it. And he...
Where we left off.
is out. We were getting nobody out. A lot of them are out. But they want to do it as slowly as possible because they use them as pawns. It's a horrible thing, but we're working very, very hard to save your son. We have news coming out, both good and bad, but working very hard. And I have many parents seeing me. I was with the hostages, 10 hostages that got out. They came about 3 weeks ago to the Oval Office right here. And they said to me, it was just terrible. And I said, interestingly, because, you see, there's always some heart in somebody, you think. I said, so you've seen like hundreds of Hamas, right? Yes. They lived in a pipe. They didn't really live in a tunnel. They lived in a pipe that was this big. They could barely breathe. It's amazing when one was in for 305 days, one was in for over 500 days. But I got them out, and through very tough, the whole thing was very tough. I said, did you ever see any love or kindness? Like, did any of these people that were guarding you, the Hamas people, did they ever look at you and say, don't worry, you'll be all right? Or did they ever look at you and say, I'm going to sneak you a little extra bread or a little extra something for eating? Did they ever give you any hope? He says, no, not one. I said, you mean, so not one person looked at you during your 1.5 years in there? One was there longer than that, and one was there a little shorter than that, different times. I said, not one, no. They used to give us a smack on the face. They would never do that. They not one. So there wasn't one person out of hundreds that said, I'm going to sneak you a little bread. I'm going to make sure you get home safely. Not one. And that amazed me, because in some really bad situations, you'd have some people like that. But not one. And they were telling the truth. I mean, they were telling the absolute truth. And
those are evil
when
people.
I talked to them about the way they suffered, it was incredible. In fact, I'd say 4 or 5 looked very, very solid and normal, and 4 or 5 looked like they'd been through hell, but they were all through the same hell. And I looked at him, I said, I can't imagine what you've gone through, but we're going to do what we have to do. But I asked them a question. One was wearing 59, and I said, what does 59 represent? That's how many are left. I said, all right, well, get them out. I said, are they all living? No, 24 are living. I said, 24? He said, yeah, 24, only 24. So 24 out of the 59 are living, and they knew because they had just gotten out. And what are the others? The others are all dead. But I spoke to the parents of the others, and as much as you want your beautiful boy out, they want their beautiful boy, and for the most part, as you know, boys, young boys, for the most part, but they want him out so badly. I said, is he okay? No, he's dead.
Oh, wow.
But they want him out so badly, almost as much as if he were alive. It was an amazingly sad thing to see, the level of love for the children. And they didn't even view them as dead. They needed the body of their son, and they knew they were dead.
I don't blame
But
him.
think of that, out of 59, you had 24 that were living, and now I understand it's not even that number.
How could anyone
And
support
young
Hamas
people don't
with
die.
what they do
They're
with
very
that?
resilient. You know, you don't have young people dying. Young people are
Not
killed.
right.
Old people die. They can't take it. They couldn't breathe in some cases. They had them in a pipe, closed at both ends. If you're claustrophobic, it's a big problem. And many people are claustrophobic. But young people live, old people die. But these were young people that were dying. So you know what took place. As we bow our heads this beautiful day in the Rose Garden on the National Day of Prayer, we once again trust our lives to our liberties and our happiness to the hands of the Creator who gave them to us and who loves us. He loves us. Think of it, where you are now, and so beautiful. But it's so nice because here you are in this unbelievable setting. I think no setting like it in the world. When you add up the importance, I take people into the Oval Office, and the biggest people, the foreign leaders, princes, kings, queens, and presidents, and prime ministers, and a couple of dictators, I guess. They don't say that. They say, no, I'm a prime minister, or I'm a president. And I say, no, you're a dictator, but that's okay. But I bring them into the Oval Office, and they just want to look. They can't believe it. It's the most important.
I wish
And
I
they all
could
have
get
beautiful
invited there
offices.
so I could see that fucking declaration.
In some
of
cases, the
independence.
wealthiest
I would
people
wanna
in the
take a
world.
picture
In
of
some
it.
cases, the most powerful people in the world. But they go into the Oval Office, and here you are, right outside the
Open
Oval
up the
Office.
curtains.
And in one way, you're so lucky, but in another way, you're all fighting for people that you know are not so fortunate right now, because of people like your beautiful son, people that are being really tortured, because the level of anger and meanness thrown off by the human being. You know, they say the lions and the tigers aren't nearly as vicious as the human because they only kill for food. They kill for food. They don't kill. They kill for food. The human being kills for sport. They try and destroy people, killing or otherwise, for sport. And we've got some bad ones out there, really bad ones. We have some bad ones here. We have some bad ones in this government. But we picked good ones, but we had some bad ones in the last 4 years, the things that they did. And the things they didn't do, your son shouldn't have been there for long. That would have been so much easier to solve immediately instead of years later. And it should have never happened. October 7th, remember, would have never happened. So as we bow our heads in this beautiful day, once again, we have to trust our God, because our God knows exactly where we're going, what we're doing, knows every inch of our life. And may He continue to hear our prayers, to guide our steps, and build up our beloved nation to even greater heights. We're in the process of doing some great things. I get criticized no matter what, but I just go forward because everyone knows we're right.
That's
All we're
President
doing is
ever.
what they've done to us for 40 years, but we're doing it bigger and better. That's the only thing we're doing.